the club is meant to be a space where we come together, and it's great that we come together from such different countries and contexts, so we can really share and listen and co-create meaningful approaches to teacher professional development. Why a club on teacher professional development right now? Well, as Fabio was saying, this club is part of the ETF community of innovative educators. Right now, we have something like 1,600 members. So thank you very much for the members that have been supporting us since the establishment of the community, and very much welcome to those who want to become members now. When we launched the idea of having a club on teacher professional development, we received over 100, maybe 130 expression of interest from educators across something like 30 countries. So this tells us something that is quite important, that there is a strong desire among you educators to learn from one another, to come together and really share and understand the practices across different contexts on how you design, develop, implement teacher professional development practices. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What are the innovations in this field? We asked why you want to join this club, and to visualize your responses, we created a sort of word cloud, very 90s, as my colleagues were saying, that came through, from which it comes through quite clearly the desire to, yeah, you can see it now. The desire to connect, to learn from others, explore new methods, co-create practical, inclusive, future-oriented approaches to teacher professional development. I have to say, going through your messages was very inspiring, and they were very honest, very grounded to your own realities, which is really what we are looking forward to. Some of you spoke about the need for more collaborative spaces, support for teachers who are willing to be integrated in the practices of teacher professional development, peer learning, inclusive teaching, stronger links between what you learn as teachers that are trained and the real challenges that educators find in their classrooms, in their spaces of where they deliver the learning, education, and so on. So what the clubs aims to do, repeating myself, basically we would like you to share practical and innovative teacher professional development experiences. We would like you to connect with each other, connect with experts in the field and trainers across different contexts, so that we can create a quite concrete output for the wider ETF community that can also be useful for your own community in your own context. And just briefly, as example of possible outputs, you can come up with guidelines for innovative teacher professional development, or a collection of practices and case examples that really reflect what is the situation and what you would like to achieve, or even short videos or testimonials from the club members. And probably I was thinking that it could be useful at the end of this kickoff meeting to share with you some outputs of previous clubs, just for you to have a very concrete idea of the potentiality of participating in this club. I think it's very important to understand what we mean by innovative, because it can be quite probably intimidating. Maybe people cannot really find themselves or their practices so innovative. But so I think, and it's not really a straightforward concept. When we were talking with our collaborators among ourselves, the question of what we mean by innovation always came out in all conversations. So I think it's important to just reflect for a while what we mean by innovation. Innovation can mean anything and everything. Within this space, we defined innovation as something that is really context sensitive, very contextualized and driven by real needs. What I mean by this is that what may be considered innovative in one context may be considered not that innovative in another context, or not that relevant for different reasons. Innovative means also to be a practice or an approach that is very much focused on practical change and long-lasting impact. And of course, the digital part, the tech, the high tech is important, but it's not the whole story. Innovation can include high tech tools, approaches, practices, but it can also be something low tech, something that has to do with a very deeply reflective practice or relational practices. And again, to ground what we mean by innovation, we read your expression of interest, and we created another word cloud using your contributions. Some of the examples are, for example, using AI for personalizing learning, gamification, coaching to foster reflective and value-based practices, training teachers via micro-credential. And what came out of the many responses you've given us, and thank you so much for your contribution. You talked about collaborative learning, reflective practices, well-being, teachers as researchers, but also as transmitter of knowledge to their students, and gamification, and so on. So what is the club and what is not the club? So let's start with what the club is not. It's not just a series of 3 from July to mid-November of top-down webinar series. Of course, the format will be a webinar series, but it's not just expert presenting their practices in one way, sort of dialogue and presentation. We really want you to be active, to participate. It's a collaborative and participatory space that it's built really around your own practice, not just theory or policy. Of course, at the very end, the scope will be to link what you experience in your own context with what can be done to transform policies. But we really want to hear your voices, your needs, your challenges, and your innovation from the ground. And it's a place for educator to lead. It's a place for educator and led by educators, and to learn from one another. So whether you bring years of experience or you have fresh questions, you are more than welcome. This is really a space for curiosity, honesty, and community. And what we ask from you, again, is to, if you're up for it, to share your own practice in teacher professional development, to share your insight, to participate, if possible, to the 3 webinars that we will have, one at the beginning of July, one probably mid-September, and the last one open to the community, it's mid-November. And then what we really would like you to do is to shape with us the output. What do you really want to get out of this participation at the club? And connect what will be going on in this space to your own practice. And for those of you who will be very much active and attending all the webinars, there will be a pioneer, a badge, an ETF badge, as a form of recognition for the continued engagement throughout the series of webinars. Almost at the end of my brief introduction, so the club is coordinated by the ETF with the amazing support of great partners. We have CEDEFOP, we have the Lifelong Learning Platform, and the Association for Teacher Education in Europe, and ETUSE, which is the European Trade Union Committee for Education. Briefly, just a few words on these great partners. CEDEFOP is the EU agency sisters of ETF. They work on vocational education and training. They are based in Greece, and they work to support the development of policies and implementation of VET in EU member states. ATE is the European non-profit organization that works to improve the quality of teacher education and supports the professional development of both teachers and teacher educators through research, exchanges across Europe, collaboration, and so on. The lifelong learning platform is, I think, is the largest civil society network that works on education and training in Europe and brings together over 40 European organizations representing all levels of education. And finally, the European Trade Union Committee for Education is represent over 4 million teachers across 51 countries and advocates for educators' rights and interests at different levels. But the club is really about you. And so we really hope that together we can co-create something that it's useful, that it's rooted to your day-to-day reality. If you want to register to the communities, this is the link. We will provide the link even later. And just as a very quick overview, ETF has run other clubs in the past, for example, the club on STEAM, AI, and the clubs for upskilling and reskilling of adults. And now it's with huge and great honor that I give the floor to Miss Lilia Rinevich. I hope I pronounced it well. Lilia is vice rector at Karazin Kharkiv National University in Ukraine and supervisor of Teachers Academy. She's former Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, and she launched the new Ukraine school reform that has been continued by all ministries. Great honor to have you here, and really thank you for joining us in this kickoff meeting. Lilia, the floor is yours. I will.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to thank the European Training Foundation for the initiative to create this club. When we collaborate, share our experience and discuss our challenges, we become stronger. It's a great honor to be a speaker on this kickoff meeting. I will speak about Ukraine's educational school reform and teacher professional development despite the ongoing war and all its dramatic consequences. I hope that what I share today will be helpful in offering some insights on how to sustain education in these uncertain times. Additionally, I hope this will highlight certain topics that we should discuss together, because each of you has valuable insights to share. So I continue with my presentation. Oh, just a moment, yeah. So let me begin by showing the scale of the context we are working in. The war has led to a large-scale destruction, occupation of territories, forced displacement of millions of people, and continuous attacks across the entire country, including regions far from the front lines. Today, Russia controls about 20% of Ukraine's territory. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine continues to affect every sector, and education is no exception. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 3,400 educational institutions have been damaged and hundreds completely destroyed. Alongside infrastructure damage, Ukraine is facing serious demographic losses. At the same time, we are witnessing deep challenges in the psycho-emotional well-being of both children and teachers. And there are significant learning losses, which we will discuss a little later in this presentation. But despite these devastating losses, Ukraine's education system has shown remarkable resilience. Just 2 weeks after the start of the full-scale invasion, the education system managed to restart its work through remote learning. teachers has become the backbone of the entire system. I'd like to share just one real-life story. This is Svetlana Popova, a math teacher from the town of Borodyanka in the Kyiv region. During the Russia occupation, her house was destroyed. She set up a blackboard on the walls that remained in her backyard, and from there she continued to teach her students online. Her story is just one of the many examples of the extraordinary resilience and dedication shown by Ukrainian teachers. Our experience showed us something very important. For children, returning to learning is not just about education. It's about restoring a sense of normal life and reinforcing their psychological resilience. In response, we have had to create new formats of schooling, which are safe and flexible, especially in frontline regions, where it is crucial to combine remote learning with opportunities for in-person education whenever possible. Today, in such regions, education takes place in bomb shelters, in underground schools, through digital learning centers. In-person learning is essential not only for academic quality, but also for children's social and emotional development. At the same time, safety must always come first. That's why when designing new schools, it makes sense to include shelters from the beginning so that education can continue safely even during emergencies. If you are interested in learning more about how Ukrainian schools have adapted during the full-scale war, I encourage you to explore this report. It brings together voices from educators on the ground and offer insights into the practical, emotional, and systemic challenges we have faced, and the strategies we've used to keep education going. Let me now shift briefly from the context of the war to the international perspective. As I mentioned, one of the greatest challenges caused by the war is dramatic learning losses. Here you can see the comparison of PISA results from 2018 and 2022. The comparison clearly shows a general decline, not only in Ukraine, but also across OECD countries. Globally, this drop is largely linked to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the times of remote learning. In Ukraine, remote learning is still continuing in some regions because of the full-scale invasion. The decline in reading literacy among Ukrainian students is particularly noticeable, especially among girls. One of the key factors behind this may be the high levels of anxiety that many students are experiencing, which makes it much harder for them to focus and to work effectively with complex texts. One clear conclusion we can draw is that supporting teachers in diagnosing and addressing learning losses must become a priority in professional development. In Ukraine, several platforms have already been launched to help diagnose and overcome learning losses. For example, All Ukrainian Online School, or POVIR, in English, Believe platform. I'd like to emphasize that all of these projects have been developed through close collaboration between the state and the civil society sector. Despite the ongoing war, we are continuing to move forward with our reform. To truly understand the scale of these efforts, it's important to see the size of the education system. Today, we have around 12,600 schools across the country. They serve almost 3.8 students, 3.8 million students. And there are 380,000 teachers in the system. These numbers show not only the size of the system, but also the scale of responsibility we face, both in sustaining education during the war and in implementing necessary changes that reach every corner of the country. This reform is comprehensive transformation of our school education system that began in 2017 before the full-scale invasion. At the heart of New Ukrainian School is a student-oriented principle in which the needs, interests, and potential of each child are at the center of the learning process. We have moved from knowledge-based to a competency-based approach, which involves not only knowledge and skills, but also applying them to solve practical problems and developing attitudes based on values. In this concept, social and emotional skills have become essential learning outcomes. Skills such as life resilience, adaptability, teamwork, communication, the ability to manage challenges, and so on. This shift is reshaping not only what students learn, but also how we prepare and support teachers, making professional development more relevant and practice-oriented. The reform introduced a 12-year school system divided into 3 key stages: 4 years primary school, basic secondary, and specialized upper secondary education. As you see, we have already completed the transition at the primary level. This phase was accompanied by significant investment, both in teacher professional development and in modernizing educational spaces to support new learning approaches by providing targeted state subventions. However, the implementation of the reform at the basic secondary level coincided with the start of the full-scale invasion, as you see, 2022. So, therefore, this has seriously limited the country's ability to invest in the reform. In order to implement the new state standards of education in the frame of reform, we had to retrain every year tens of thousands of teachers. Therefore, even before the pandemic, we decided to use a blended format as a more time-efficient and scalable format, which include combination of an online course and face-to-face sessions. We specifically prepared regional trainers who were responsible for conducting their in-person sessions. Every year, new teachers who were beginning their work under the new state standards also participated in this training cycle. So the online course was developed in collaboration with civil society organization too. These photos show some moments from the face-to-face training sessions led by regional teachers, trainers across the country. These sessions helped to build communities of teachers who could support each other and continue spreading new practices in their own schools and regions. I hope you will share your experience with scaling up teacher professional development during the discussions. This slide shows the result of a short survey I conducted among primary school teachers using the Mentimeter tools. Of course, it's in Ukrainian, but I will explain. I asked them, what new teaching methods have you started using in the new Ukrainian school? Teachers mentioned using methods like Lego 6 bricks, activity-based, project-based, inquiry-based learning, gamification, flipped classroom model, morning cycles, integrated learning, social emotional learning, and so on. So this shows how the reform has been making learning more active, engaging, and connected to students' real interests and needs. The reform brings together a wide range of actors. From the very beginning, we have worked to understand the needs and expectation of all stakeholders who could be involved in the reform implementation. We identified how each group could contribute to the reform, and equally important, what benefits they would receive in return. A significant number of stakeholders, including universities, civil society organizations, international partners, and donors, have become actively involved, particularly in supporting teacher professional development. And I think this aspect, how we involve stakeholders and build meaningful partnership to drive change, could be a valuable topic for our discussion. Several important changes were introduced to support teachers' growth according to the new law on education. Firstly, we opened the professional development market to different providers, public, private, and non-governmental organizations. Previously, the system was based almost entirely on a network of regional professional development institutes. But by expanding the pool of providers, we encourage greater competition and the emergence of more modern and diverse training programs for teachers. Secondly, the minimum number of hours for in-service training was doubled. At the same time, we introduced a targeted state subvention for teacher professional development. However, this funding has been initially directed through the network of regional professional development institutes. The next important step for us is to move toward implementing the principle of money follows the teacher. But all these efforts, while important, cannot fully compensate for one major problem, the issue of teachers' social status and salary. You can see on the slides the current teacher salary range per month. Higher salaries usually come either from achieving a higher qualification category or from teachers taking on a heavier teaching load, often work in a 1.5 full-time position, which means 27 teachers' hours per week. Yet, like many Ukrainians, teachers continue their work with patience and dedication, knowing that while the military defends the country, their role is to help sustain its future. One of the important ways to motivate teachers involved in reform has become voluntary independent certification. Teachers who successfully pass certification receive a 20% salary increase. The process includes 3 stages. Firstly, teachers take an independent professional knowledge test organized by Ukrainian Center for Educational Quality Assessment, a trusted national institution. Secondly, they complete a self-assessment of their own teaching skills and professional growth. And thirdly, there are a practical evaluation of their work. On this stage, experts of State Service of Quality of Education observe lessons, review the teacher's self-presentation, and ask reflective questions and conduct an interview. We also needed a common, clear framework for professional expectation. That's exactly what the teacher professional standards provides. Professional development is built around a clear set of competencies including not only subject knowledge and digital skills, but also psychological, ethical, and inclusive competencies. The teacher professional standard is used by universities to design relevant bachelor and master's degree program for initial teacher training. The teacher professional standards also serves as a guideline for self-assessment and the teacher's planning of their professional development. Additionally, the standard is used for teacher certification, which I mentioned earlier. I think this is an interesting topic for our further discussions on the specification of requirements for the teaching profession. To help educators navigate a wide and growing market of training opportunities by providing relevant information about courses from diverse providers, a platform Edway was initially developed and operated by NGO at Camp Ukraine. Today, platform Edway is transferring into state ownership to ensure its long-term sustainability and integration into the national teacher professional development system. Teachers can filter available trainings based on specific competencies they want to enhance, also track their learning history, plan future development, and make informed choices based on course relevance. Registration of providers on the platform is voluntary, and we are still exploring the best ways to build a system for ensuring the quality of professional development service offered by different providers. It would be extremely valuable within the club to discuss how different countries organize quality assurance system for teacher professional development. What are today's priorities for teacher professional development in Ukraine? Teachers need to know how to create safe and inclusive learning environments and apply trauma-informed practices. Providing psycho-emotional support and developing social-emotional skills both in themselves and their students is now essential. At the same time, teachers must be able to diagnose and address learning losses using flexible strategies that support every student's progress. Competency-based teaching methods remains core focus along with designing modern educational programs. Another important priority is strengthening teacher skills in formative assessment of students. Of course, it's still relevant to have strong skills in distance and blended learning technologies, which have become an integral part of today's education. In closing, I would like to emphasize teachers are the cornerstone of the reform and sustainability of education system. Without empowered, motivated, and well-supported teachers, achieving meaningful change is nearly impossible. I fully share the view of Andreas Schleicher, who said, the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. I hope that within this club, we will have the opportunity to openly discuss the complex but incredibly important issues related to the formation and development of the modern teachers. So thank you for your attention and looking forward to your insight. Sorry if I have exceeded the time allocated for my presentation.
No worry, Lila. That was perfect, and actually, it gave, I believe, a very good example, a very good, contextual example of what we mean by innovation in this case. This is really system innovation. This is really a system intervention, and it's really connected to also, let's say, the capacity to adapt to the situation of the moment in Ukraine. So thank you very much for this panorama. I think it was really interesting, and we have been studying in details these initiatives in our policy analysis work, and we know exactly actually what is behind this. I'm leaving. I see some thank you messages in the chat, and I would like, before moving to the breakout rooms, to give the floor to you if you have some questions or some comment following this quick presentation. Actually, there will be a lot more to say. Lila, I understand it's a lot of work behind this, but if you have any question or comment, feel free to either write in the chat or to ask for the floor. Okay, I see people are actually appreciating. We will have time in the next moments as well to keep on exploring the issues, and especially the challenges that Lila so kindly put at the end of the presentation, that are actually quite common. Okay. Everybody's thanking you, Lila, more than questions. So I think it's a very
Thank you very much.
Very good sign. Oh, thank you. Okay, 3 more seconds for a possible question. If not, we might do it also later on. Okay, yes, good. Okay, so I think if we have no questions, it means everything was clear, and we will start from your last points also as a starting point for our work in the club. But now I'm giving the floor to Marta to explain a bit what will happen in the next half an hour. Please, many people, when we hear about breakout room, tend to run away from webinars because you feel that maybe you don't want to speak and so on. But in this case, feel like you are at home, or even better, since most of you are teachers, like you are in a classroom. So feel free to stay. Please stay and contribute to the work. Marta, please.
Thank you, Fabio. So I'm going to introduce shortly this session, and it's really a special moment always when we can have these moments of co-creation, because as Alice explained, the clubs are informal groups, and the focus is on you, so on members, on practitioners, and we would like really to involve you actively in the discussion. And at this moment, we would like to work in 3 groups. And inside the groups, we are going to focus on one question, which is which areas of teachers' professional development would need to be improved to enhance effectiveness and inclusiveness. And together we will try to also find out how we can improve it. So as the facilitators of the clubs, of the community, we will always try to give you these moments, because it's a great moment to know you better, and also to create this networking space for the members, because remember, we are a very big community, we come from different countries, and this is a moment that you can meet colleagues from different countries, share your stories, share different experiences, your practices, and so on. So we will also, in the next meetings, we will always strive to give you this space, because we want to hear your voice and know more about what you are doing, about different challenges that you are facing, and maybe try to find a common solution. So we will be supported by technology. So in this case, we developed this Canva that you see, and in each group, you will find a facilitator, and you will receive the link to Canva, and you can edit and put the notes here directly. So of course, we would love that you open the cam, open the microphone, and that we hear your voice. So this would be perfect. Then you can add your comments directly on Canva. So you are invited to be to talk, of course. If you don't feel, just write down the note. And once Roberto is ready with breakout rooms, we will be split in different rooms. We will work about 20 minutes in the groups, and then we come back to the plenary session and collect the feedback from each group.
We are ready.
You are ready. Perfect. So see you more or less in 15, 20 minutes.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hi, Medea.
Hello
how
there.
are you? Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for your great work with the outcome of the skill
Ah, there's nothing, so we're trying to develop the club. So
club.
Nice to see you, Medea. Yes.
nice to
I'm
see
changing
you.
my name. It says
Yes,
Marta.
please.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm writing in the chat here the address that you can follow to get in the same page. And I am sharing it in our screen. So what are we going to do now? As Marta was explaining, we would like to know from you, first of all, what are the areas of teacher professional development that should be improved in order to enhance effectiveness, inclusiveness, efficacy, and so on, good results. And then after we identify the areas, we can also identify what are the challenges, what are the issues, what are the possible solutions as well that we can bring in order to solve these challenges. Of course, it could be regarding your country, regarding your condition, regarding your school, anything. So feel free to give any feedback that is coming to your mind, and just let me know if you prefer that I write here what we are discussing. I maybe my proposal could be that we decide all together the areas. And then after we decide about the areas, everybody can feel free to write their comments, their feedback, their possible solutions, the challenges, the problems here in the post-its, so in the sticky notes that we can shift from one area to another one. I hope this is clear for you. And yes, let's start the discussion. So, for example, the area could be simply the lifelong learning for teacher system, let's say, that is developed at national level or whatever. Innovative tools. And anything that comes to your mind, as Marta was explaining at the beginning, we would like to involve you, not only to know you better, because this is the first meeting of the club, but also because we would like to understand which direction we can give to this club. We have Medea here, who is the expert of another club that was focused about STEAM education, so she knows more or less how things are going on. And yeah, feel free to write or to raise your hand or to say something. For example, now I'm zooming in order to see. Okay, so for example, we have the concept of well-being. What I think this is something that teachers in general in all the countries feel like an urgent aspect, something that should be faced by maybe the system, the training system, and not only training system in order to solve some issues related to this well-being. So if you have some experience, some practice, some ideas that you want to share about this topic, you are much welcome. So maybe we can even call all this area number 1 as well-being of teachers. Let's call it teachers' well-being.
Roberto, there was understanding of the concept of well-being. Is it teacher's well-being or teacher's ability to ensure well-being of students?
Well, this is something that we can elaborate about.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, because it could be both.
Yes, it could be both. And so maybe we can even be more general here. Since we are talking about teacher professional development, I guess that this would be more about teachers. But let's, so if you have some, yes, Eva.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so my name is Eva Polanis, and I am from Poland, and I have just written down this topic, understanding the concept of well-being. And if I can, I would like to explain why I have put it, right? Yeah, may I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, so I just write it down, shortly, because, this is only the mind map. But how I do understand that also very shortly, just to help you understand my idea, that I believe that nowadays the function of school has changed, and providing the knowledge, in my opinion, it's not the most important goal. I mean, there are so many problems with mental health, depression, and feeling overstimulated, that I see that the understanding of teacher, that the concept of well-being is extremely important, because, shortly, when we do care about well-being, teachers' well-being, as well as students' well-being, of course, it has the great correlation with the studies, with the studying and improving academic qualities.
Okay. So from your perspective, let's say that the well-being refers to both teachers and students. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think we can't take care of students' well-being if we do not know how to take care of our well-being as a teacher.
Okay, do you have any solution, any practice, any experience that you, for example, went through and that could be useful maybe for the other?
Yes, so to introduce me myself better, I am a secondary school teacher as well as academic teacher. And nowadays I am a PhD candidate, and I'm doing the research, and my PhD thesis is just well-being of secondary school students and its determinants. So as you can imagine, I am, very, I believe that the topic is very, it's just the need of our time. And well, what I can share here in this club, I can just lead some kind of practical training for teachers, how to be more aware, and as I said at the beginning, how to understand the concept of well-being.
Fine. Okay, fine. Thank you. So training and using some methods in order to make people aware. Medea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I was thinking about leadership, that teachers, to make the teaching and learning process more effective, maybe teachers should be leaders, but not only of teaching process, but also on an organizational level. I mean, when you give them opportunity to do something in a school strategy or curricula or vision, so they become more responsible for doing innovative stuff, for example, to implement some new methods while teaching, and also they feel as they are a part of the school as an organization, so they take more, they care more, and they try to develop more. So leadership maybe is one of the must skill, let's say, for teachers to be effective.
Well, this is an interesting area that is, thank you, Medea, that is also have to do with one of the topic that was mentioned before, which is collaboration with other colleagues. And this is also something that we realized when we were working in the club about STEAM education. So, but also we in other topics, how much it's important to have a dialogue with other teachers, with other colleagues who are bringing something innovative, something new. So, for example, there could be the possibility in a school to follow the traditional pathways, but also to do something more, let me use this word, modern or innovative or simply new. And sometimes from many experiences that we have is one or two teachers, and they are kind of isolated. But creating a dialogue with them could help to maybe follow some new ideas and introduce innovative approaches. Alexandros, or Alexander.
Hello, nice to see everyone. I'm Alexandros from Greece, ACME. And I wanted to point out under the innovative tools and methods umbrella that you could broadly say digital competencies, and it's relevant because of the Digicomp 3 in progress. But I think that an interesting subtopic, an interesting subsection is how information technology is viewed like a tech sector, when the educator should also see it from a knowledge perspective. Because since we are trying to find ways to stay up to date, to be able to handle a bigger body of knowledge and practical knowledge related to skills and attitudes too, if we adopt a more competence view. So you have so many dimension of things, right? So maybe the competencies should be passed as the digital ones as something to better handle knowledge than it is to simply handle technology. So this is one view that I would like to see more in teachers' professional development.
Okay, thank you very much. So focusing on the knowledge and the let's say transmission of knowledge and maybe let me add like using technologies as a transfer of knowledge more than something that should be focused on itself and something like that.
Yes, instead of viewing it as a barrier that like saying like, oh, I'm not very tech savvy, I think when teachers realize the value it has for handling knowledge, like creating databases, making summaries of reports using AI, for example, and really using techniques like natural language processing to very much improve this information and knowledge management, I think that it can win a lot of time and also increase the institutional capacity of the school they are affiliated with.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto?
Yes.
It's Elena. Here was the comment from Alex Lenoir, who is boarding the train at the moment, but he wrote a comment: professional co-development, encourage collaborative work among peers, learning from communities, practice sharing and mentoring. So there was this comment.
Okay, because I was looking at the chat before and I copied and pasted Alex and Irina comments in the post-its. Now I will also take this one in consideration. So professional co-development, encourage collaborative work among peers. So this is in line with what we were talking about before. So trying to create dialogue and collaborate with other peers, with other teachers, of course, but also participating in learning communities. And this is a nice example. I mean, so we are now part of a community of educators and a community or a club of other teachers who are sharing probably the same challenges and are looking for the same solutions, even if in different countries. So that's very much welcome.
I also added a few 2 points, but I think it would be better to hear what the participants are saying, and then
Yes. No, please go ahead if you want to comment something. We have 3 minutes more, so.
Yeah, I added the second topic under the area 2, integrated approach to developing learning outcomes for key competences, which is one of the big challenges in many countries when teachers are demanded to focus on learning outcomes, and it requires their own key competences and professional competences. So it's a both personality and pedagogy and knowledge and attitude and everything. And the second one I added to topic 3, where you put assessment on the top. So assessment of teachers' performance in accordance with expectations and demand. Because this is, there are many demands on teachers, but not always the way they are assessed and promoted corresponds to those demands. So these were 2 points from me.
So I added evaluation because maybe this would be more clear to understand what we meant. Okay, some other comments, Alexandros?
Yes, I'm intervening again because I also put the youth awareness part at area 4. My idea is that generations are now changing faster and faster, so maybe the 20 years range is not that representative of some generation characteristics as they are now, because even I think even a 5 years difference can show us a lot of different attributes that needs to be analyzed and researched. So because of that, I think that professors should be closer and closer to youth, and awareness regarding the issues, the subjects, even the slang and the pop culture surrounding youth world, if I may phrase it like that. And to give a more tacit educational example, gamification is something that took off because of the popularity of video games, for example. But we have so many teachers who use gamification only by using one tool like Kahoot as a very popular choice, which is just one aspect and one application of gamification, but they won't display so much of an interest in learning what is fun in video games that engages in the first place. So something like even playing a video game would do a really good difference in understanding how new media engage new generations.
Mhm. Okay. Yes, thank you. But I think that an efficient dialogue with young people is traditionally much more than welcome. But you are right that things are rapidly changing, especially from the approach, the technological point of view, the language, the communication. So young people communicate in a completely different way rather than 20 years ago. So of course, this is very important. We thought to have more or less 15 minutes. I think that we reached our limit. If anybody wants to add something, of course, he or she is welcome. Otherwise, we can come back to the plenary session and report what we have done. Olena, would you like to be the reporter, or do you prefer I can do it? Okay, I will do it, and maybe you will help me with the.
I'm in and out today for the other session, so I have to.
Yes. No, I can report what we
I might
have.
disappear during the meeting. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. I think we should cluster the points which are related to the teacher abilities, teacher characteristics, teacher competences. Maybe present them in a package, let's say. So that could be, I think, the easy way, because we mentioned different. Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Okay. I'm closing all the sessions, so there is only 1 minute. And yes, clustering would be nice. Maybe this is something that we can do even afterwards, but yeah. So that this will be the future homework for us and for the members. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you so much for
See you in the plenary.
See you in some seconds. Hello again. I guess that people now will slowly come back to the plenary session. I sent a message and leaving a minute. I don't know if this was the response.
Sorry, I need to apologize with some of our members of our group, because I could see hands raised. I think I read the name of Tuba, and I don't know who else. And I was about to give the floor to them, and we were cut. I'm really sorry.
No, I'm sorry. That's
no, it's okay. It's just like I didn't pay attention to the to the timing.
But
I just want to apologize with the people that wanted to participate, 2 or 3 at the end, and we didn't manage.
if
But
it's
you're,
something
yeah.
fast, maybe this is something we can do now. So if they want to say something, they are much more than welcome, of course.
Yeah, yeah, the floor is yours if you feel like talking in a wider room. We are more than happy to listen to your insights, which are, well, so far incredibly rich in our group.
This is good to know. So I think that everybody came back to the room. We are still 52. So I think that we started, I think in average 80, 82 people. Now we are yet a good number. So maybe the group 1 can start with short reporting. Alice, Marta, you can say what's happened in your group.
Marta, do you want to start or I start? How do you want to
start? Alice, I will show our Canva.
Okay. So the conversation was actually very much cohesive, I would say. We could see a thread among different participants and different insights. We started with talking about areas of challenge, of improvements. Of course, is the digital literacy, and this is very much linked also to what Lilia was telling us in contexts that are experiencing fragile situations, where actually, as the Ukraine case shows very perfectly, in a matter of weeks, they were able to guarantee continuity in education thanks to the switch to the digital world. And so having training for improving digital literacy for the teachers is absolutely essential. With this, we had contribution about inclusivity in digitalization, which should not just be a buzzword, but should really be applied in the classrooms. Really understanding context by context what inclusivity means, and having this inclusion principle in mind when we develop training for teachers that then should be of long-lasting impacts for students. We then talked about the importance of teachers' well-being and the high risk and the reality that it's unfortunately growing of burnouts and which is very much linked to also the situation of the teachers. Lilia again touched a bit upon this about the low salaries, the rights of the teachers that are not always taken into consideration, the social status of being a teacher according to different contexts. And with these, we identified also an area of low self-esteem and low motivation for some of the teachers. Low self-esteem in sense of why children should, or students, learners should be interested in what I'm going to say to them, or why am I here to teach in the first place? And that's maybe very much motivated to link to the motivation and to the, again, to the ecosystem of the learning of the learning system in one country. So if they are not supported holistically, then they are very much left by themselves. And questions on why, how, why do I have to teach this? Why, if we are here and we will want to reach there, we are not really supported in this journey. On the how, some very interesting insights and ideas came out. One from Rena, the first one from Rena from CEDEFOP, the need for systematic needs assessment. And she shared that even in European member states, only more or less 10 countries had done such a systematic needs assessment, and not even at national level for the whole countries, which tells a lot. On these, another how could be support for teachers from a policy-based perspective, and having changing the entire school culture. And we go back to the inclusivity, right? So it's not really about create an inclusive, empathetic, compassionate, and flexible environment in the training itself, but also create the opportunities for these kind of fruitful environment to be really implemented in the whole school culture. We talked a lot about learning compassion and learning empathy as a tool that can be used by the individual, so by the teachers themselves, by the students themselves, when you really are also in situation of different fragilities or crises or a lack of resources. It can be anything. Really having tools that you can use to support yourself is a very good starting point to then build a more solid relationship within your classroom and within the school and then in the communities, like another positive spillover effect. I think, did I cover almost more or less everything? One other thing important, I think it's linked to the digital literacy. Incredibly important, the including training on cybersecurity and cyberbullying, especially in nowadays world. I would say it's very much crucial. If I have missed something, please, people from my group, they were super active, and thank you very much. Step in. If you want to add, if you want to correct something. All good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's nice to see that you had a very interactive group. So this is.
Yeah, thanks. And again, sorry for those who I cut because we run out of time.
Yes, of course, no problem. But this is something that we will use for the future meetings.
Exactly.
We will work on it, and I think that also from this second group, Canva, I see a lot of things, a lot of stuff.
You see, our group practically produced a mini PhD thesis. Actually, we wrote a lot, so thank you very much. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of actually very well elaborated ideas, and I think we had also the luxury of having Lila with us, so we could also start from some suggestions and some inspirations following our kickoff meeting. So in terms of the areas, I think we have some sort of overlap. We spoke about well-being as well, mainly about students' well-being. So as an area of concern, as an important area that should be strengthened in TPD at all levels. Then we spoke about making TPD more practical and less content-based, less course-based in terms both of guiding with practices and mentoring new teachers especially, and in terms of providing follow-up, continuous follow-up after the training moments. Then, as the first group, we discussed about technologies for distance and blended learning. And finally, we spoke about the global dimension, the international dimension of TPD, the dimension of international mobility, connected also to programs such as Erasmus and others. Now, reading the how is going to be difficult because it's super small, but basically we had, I would say, the interesting thing is that many of the hows were connected to more than one what. So we found a sort of a coherence. For example, if we think about, we discussed briefly the different online platforms, including the ones by the European Commission, such as Scientix, eTwinning, and others, that are both a way to build digital skills and digital literacy among teachers, and a way to guarantee, or at least to provide some sort of follow-up and so some sort of independent and self-paced training among educators. So, and we have a few of these how that are actually connecting, for example, social emotional learning. We had an issue, the connection between, again, digital well-being, including cyberbullying, including misinformation, which is connecting students and teachers' well-being with technologies, digital technologies. So I think all in all, it was a very coherent discussion that at least now we will have to process this and to go in depth, as I was promising to the members of my group in the next days. But I think we can already say from that point of view that as a starting point, I see at least a very strong coherence between and a very good understanding of where the problems are with a good number of solutions. I know I didn't do any justice to the many ideas which were presented, so I don't know if somebody wants to complement from my group. I was alone moderating the group, so forgive me. But it's, I think, let's say, thank you very much to all the ideas and also to the many words that you wrote. I did not have the time to go through them, but a lot of good food for thought and for the next steps.
Yes, thank you, Fabio. Now, what is important is that what we have done now was not just a pure exercise of see how people interact or how people work in group, but something that we would like to keep and reflect upon and so on. So this will not be lost for sure. I also see that people wrote a lot, so that's really, really appreciated. The last group is mine and Olena's. And we were working on the identification of the possible areas. I'm happy to see that well-being is one of the key aspects that teachers are thinking about. So we try to elaborate a little bit more on what well-being means. Remember, Alice talks about burnout and other possible problems that affect teachers. We were also talking on the way how teachers can ensure students' well-being. And so this is also something that was somewhere related to what she said about cyberbullying and other kind of problems. Another area is about using innovative tools and methods, so digital competencies, integrated approach to developing learning outcomes for key competencies, and of course the theme related to digital maturity and so on. So all the innovative methodologies and tools and so on that could be used and adopted by teachers, but shouldn't be the main focus, because as one of our participants said, we have to put in the first place the knowledge more than the ways how the knowledge is transferred and is ensured and taught from teachers to students. Another area is about assessment evaluation, so assessment also of the performance the teachers have in accordance with different expectations and so on. I also liked the area called youth awareness. So youth awareness means not that young people should be aware, but teachers should be aware about the youth, the young people needs, language, ways of communication. So trying to emphasize as much as possible with the new generation to understand them and find a way to create a dialogue with them. This is something, of course, that is valid maybe since the most ancient times in school, but it's also true that things have changed a lot recently. And the last area is about leadership, so how teachers should become leaders and to bring something, to be able to bring something new, and also to create a specific dialogue, favorable dialogue with other peers in the same subject or in other subject, in order to be innovative and to create something, and of course to contribute to the teachers' professional development in general. I try to be as quick as possible, but as I said, we will elaborate more. I don't know if Olena wants to add something. Fabio also raised the hand.
Maybe just 2 words. I think what Fabio said, that it's the what, the how, and the why, etc. All these questions are behind the inputs of our group, I think as well. because I think we need to then analyze well all the different ideas and try to present them in terms of some clustering and some more analytical way for further decisions and for the discussions of the group. But the ideas were very, let's say, related to the real needs. So I think we are doing very well in terms of discussion.
Okay, excellent.
Mine was not a hand raised, but a thumb up, because actually I had forgotten to mention that we also discussed a lot about the need to train teachers to understand the young generations, new ways of working, new ways of learning, and so on. So perfectly in line.
Maybe Roberto, just to add that I think what is striking that I think we hear colleagues saying that who is the modern teacher, modern educator. So it's about who is this person and what this person's positioning in the current context of lifelong learning and education in particular, and what conditions have to be created for autonomy, for flexibility, for giving, for empowering teachers. I think that was what I also was thinking when I was listening.
Yeah, true. Yes, and we had people who contributed with ideas, raising the hand, talking, and writing, even if in different conditions. So thanks to all who participated as much as possible, and we reported what their feedback and their comments. So thanks to all participants, thanks to all the 3 groups. And I think we came to the conclusion.
I think there is a raise hands from Tuba, right? If I'm...
Yes.
Please.
Hi, everyone. I am a professional development coordinator in Turkey. So hi from Turkey, all of you. Professional development is important for us, and we are responsible for the teachers' development all over the Turkey in the field of renewable energy and electronic technologies. I think this platform really contributes us, and I wanna start with a metaphor example. There is a rule in aviation for emergencies. First, save yourself, then help others. Using this metaphor, what I mean is that we must first develop ourselves before we can help our students and others. So professional development so important, and I wanna say my thanks this platform and ETF team. So see you next step and next sessions. I wanna say that.
Thank you so
That's
much.
all.
Thanks.
Thank you also.
Do we have 2 minutes for the last poll to know? If you stay with us 2 minutes more, we can conclude and we can launch the final poll in order to know what you are bringing home and what is your takeaway from today.
Let's do that.
So if you follow this link once again that you will find in chat, you will be led to this page, and we are asking you what is your takeaways from today's meeting, what did you learn, and what you are bringing home with you. And since we are talking about teacher development from the professional point of view and lifelong learning, I think that learning something even during this short meeting would be very much appreciated. Inspiration and food for thought. And of course, stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe in our club, because If we have your email address, then we will let you know when the next catch-up meeting take place. So we will give you all the information about the next meetings and what will happen after this kickoff. Thank you very much. While people are giving their feedback, maybe we can conclude. So Alice, I leave it.
Yeah, we are mindful of time. So first of all, thank you so much for your time, for your energies. I feel very much energized by your inputs. It's been grateful to have you all here today. We have heard so many valuable already ideas around what effective and inclusive teacher professional development should look like. We have some homework to do. So in the next few days, we will gather together with the club team to go through your inputs from the breakout rooms. We have seen some convergences, so we want really to cluster because we have other 3 webinars and we really want to be grounded on your needs and to be able to shape the outputs that it's valuable for you and with you. So we will cluster the different ideas and we will be in touch with you for a small assignment just to keep you in the momentum so you don't forget us, and it will be drawn on exactly the activities done in these breakout rooms. So you will hear from us very soon. Just bear in mind that the next webinars will be very much grounded on what has been said today, just to be very much participatory and collaborative in the conversation. Before closing, I want to really thank again our collaborators, CEDEFOP, ATER, LLLP, and ETUCE, and a big thank you to you, the members, for making this space already feeling like a community. We will be in touch soon, and until then, thanks again for your presence and see you in the next session in July.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Mhm.